Do you guys remember that hit TV show called The Walking Dead? If so, you probably remember the ever-present threat of the post-apocalyptic landlords evicting the survivors because Rick forgot to pay rent. And you probably recall Season 4, Episode 12, where Daryl and the gang spend 35 hours mining stone and chopping trees. And how could anyone forget the emotional season finale where Carl tries to shoot a zombie but misses because he didn't have the fully upgraded NFT pistol? None of those ring a bell? Well, I can't blame you. It got difficult for a lot of us earlier fans to stay interested in the show after it transitioned into a zombie soap opera. All jokes aside, The Walking Dead hasn't exactly been a franchise known for quality video game spin-offs. While the Telltale games and the Saints & Sinners VR games are both phenomenal titles, the others are sort of a mixed bag.
Could have been out of this mess forever.
Lucky for you, I got an eagle eye. It's this one. Didn't you see the bite on that whirlybird pilot? Hell, he was more than halfway turned already.
But a Walking Dead MMO? Now that sounds awesome. But don't get your hopes up just yet. It's not that straightforward. Hello, I'm John. Welcome back to the series where I play and review every NFT and crypto game from the perspective of a normal gamer. The Walking Dead Empires is a casual, multiplayer survival MMO set in the treacherous world of AMC's The Walking Dead. Survive in the harsh reality by doing whatever it takes. Team up with allies to scavenge for supplies, construct your new home, and fend off the ever-present threat of the walkers. The game was announced in late 2021, with NFT pre-sales beginning shortly after. Some of the items that were sold include claims to plots of land, character trading cards, and crafting benches. The exact utility of these items is a little difficult to determine, as the company behind the game, Gala Games, isn't exactly known for being transparent with their community. Instead, what they're known for is charging tens of thousands of dollars for in-game items in games that have yet to be released, under vague promises of future utility and earnings potentials. If you're not already familiar with Gala Games, I'll catch you up to speed. They're one of the most prolific publishers/developers of NFT games, and they have their very own cryptocurrency called Gala. Some other games published by Gala Games include Spider Tanks, Mirandus, Superior, Townstar, and now this game. The developers of The Walking Dead Empires are a studio called Ember Entertainment, which was purchased by Gala in early 2023. Some other games developed by Ember Entertainment include the iOS titles Meow Match, Empire Z, Aqua Blast, and Dragonstone Kingdoms. But don't be fooled, The Walking Dead Empires is not a mobile game, it's a PC exclusive. So we're going to be holding this game to higher standards than we would a mobile game, since the audience for PC games is very different than that for mobile games. Additionally, we'll need to keep in mind that the game has yet to release. Not like that matters though, since just about every single crypto game on the market is in a perpetual alpha or beta state. Despite the game being unreleased, they still seem to have absolutely no trouble charging thousands of dollars for items in the game, without ever even having announced a planned release date. A prepper pack, it comes with 3 character cards and 5 items. Wow, it's 75% off. How much could it cost? Only $2,000? What a deal! You can also buy land for the game, because everyone knows that in a zombie apocalypse, only 2 things from today's society will remain: Waffle House and landlords. Becoming a zombie metaverse real estate mogul will run you just about $170 US. It's worth noting that these land claims sold out far before anyone had ever played the game, so most people just bought the land out of pure speculation. But what we did know at the time is that owning land would bring with it the potential to participate in the game's play-to-earn economy. Crypto game developers will always find a way to justify their insane monetization strategies, even at the expense of a coherent gameplay experience. A dead-raising virus has led to a total collapse of society? Sure, but don't forget to play by the rules set by the rich folks who purchased all the land right before the outbreak. One thing I always love about Gala Games is just how clearly their terms of service states that you are, in fact, not purchasing a security or any form of investment when you purchase any items from their store. As paraphrased from their terms of service, each user of any game on the Gala blockchain or website or associated Gala game node may be able to earn or receive the Gala reward. The Gala reward is a digital reward and not a security token. The Gala reward, any NFT, and any other digital reward may reside solely within the Gala blockchain and may or may not have value. Gala cannot and does not control whether any of the Gala rewards, any NFTs, and any other digital reward has monetary value on any other blockchain. On the Gala blockchain, the site, or any associated website, neither the Gala reward nor NFT nor other digital reward may be exchanged for currency. So from my understanding, they're basically saying it's not a security because they don't enable the trading of it. Even though you can trade it, you just aren't doing it on their site. Anyhow, the game is playable whether you own an NFT or not, and with these outrageous prices, I find it hard to justify any investment in a Gala Games product. But hey, it's your money, do whatever you please. But that's enough of the backstory. Let's see how the game that this investment vehicle is built around actually holds up. Downloading the game is rather simple. Install the Gala launcher, which runs in the background at all times, and then launch and install The Walking Dead Empires. It's a rather compact 5 gigabytes, and there's no need to connect a crypto wallet to access the game. Just create a Gala Games account and you're all set. Upon launching the game for the first time, we're allowed to choose which character we'd like to play as. Of course, none of the characters from the TV series are available for free. Those are reserved exclusively for owners of the limited supply NFT trading cards. You want to play as Rick? Well, that'll cost you about as much as 2 newly released video games, $130. The exact utility of the expensive NFT characters is unclear, as the best explanation that I could find was the following. Hero cards power up your game. Utilize them to boost your skills and abilities. No numbers, no stats, no specifics, just this one line of text. So, unfortunately for me, I'm gonna have to resort to playing as some random, non-licensed character named Sherm. Selecting my character takes me to a brief loading screen, and then poof, we're here. I'm dropped straight into the wilderness to fend for myself. No cutscene, no introductory dialogue, nothing. There is no tutorial to teach me how to play the game, but the controls are rather simple and I could figure them out on my own. You use the left click to move, and you also use left click to pick up objects on the ground. The game has a fixed isometric camera view, and you can zoom in and out, but you can't rotate the camera. As there is no formal tutorial, my only instructions come in the form of the missions log on the left side of my screen. Fortunately, the mission text is detailed enough that it sort of acts like a tutorial. My first mission is to gather 5 logs and 5 rocks from the ground nearby. Off we go. I walked around the area and then clicked on 5 logs and 5 rocks to pick them up. I then pressed the C button to open the crafting menu. Here, I can craft an axe and a pickaxe. I can then use these newly crafted tools to chop down trees and mine the larger stones that I couldn't with my bare hands. As I continue to explore the area in the immediate vicinity, I follow the mission's instructions until I'm told to craft an HQ. This HQ is what will serve as my base of operations. After placing the HQ, I chop a few more trees and crack a few more stones to stockpile additional resources. With my pockets full of rocks, I'm able to construct a crafting bench and a baseball bat. This weapon will come in handy should I encounter any walkers. Perfect timing, as my next mission requires me to go find one. I've spent about 10 minutes so far walking around and I have yet to encounter a walker. With my trusty bat in hand, I trek into the forest in search of my prey. After just a brief jog, the unmistakable sounds of the living dead echo across the forest floor. Armed with just a baseball bat and my courage, I charge forward by left-clicking on the zombie. Combat in The Walking Dead Empires is quite simple. While you can always left-click to perform a basic attack, you are also able to use more powerful abilities by pressing the Q, W, or E keys. These abilities allow you to perform more advanced attacks, like dealing damage in an area of effect, dashing forward, or buffing your damage for an amount of time. Your character has a resource bar that depletes as you attack, so you can't just mindlessly spam your abilities. While this is all fine, the unfortunate aspect of this combat system is the absolute stiffness of it. When you click on an enemy, you walk towards them and then swing. Animations have a long windup, and there's really no way to dodge other than just clicking to move away. This is unreliable, as you can often get hit while you're fleeing. While it is possible to kite enemies, it doesn't really feel like you're supposed to be doing that. Nonetheless, I easily dispatched my first walker while suffering just a few hits. One of the main plot points in The Walking Dead is that the zombies aren't very threatening. They're stupid, slow, and easily avoided, similar to a blockchain. They're more of a set piece, and they exist to motivate the characters and their actions. However, the real focus of the show is on the relationship of the survivors and how they adapt to the outbreak. This aspect is one of the reasons why creating an interesting Walking Dead video game is often challenging. It worked great with the Telltale games, as obviously those games are heavily scripted, story-driven games. Playing those games is almost like watching an episode of a TV show, even down to their episodic release schedule. And the virtual reality games work as well, since the slow nature of VR hand-to-hand combat works fine with the slow zombies. So I'm interested to see how they're able to balance the zombies to make them still feel threatening even with this top-down view. Regardless, I'll keep this in mind as I continue to my next mission. After a few more minutes spent mining and chopping trees, my next mission requires me to gather scrap metal. However, there's none to be found anywhere near my headquarters. Opening the map shows that there's actually a huge area to explore, so I'm going to need to broaden my search if I want to find all the resources I need. The map of the Walking Dead Empires is split into a bunch of different plots. The game is an MMO with only one server, so you'll run into other players and their bases all the time. Each plot has a maximum player count, although I'm not sure what happens when you try to walk to a plot that's full. You can move between plots by reaching the border and then standing there for 5 seconds. It's exactly like the game Foxhole, if you've ever played that. There are two types of plots, PvE or PvP plots. The PvE plots are all assigned a different rarity. These rarities are common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, and ancient. Each one corresponds to a different rarity and price of NFT. As you move to plots with a higher rarity, the quality of items found increases. However, so does the difficulty of the zombies. I'm nowhere near strong enough to take on the zombies in the adjacent plot, so I instead opt to scavenge the far side of my home plot. Here, I found some scrap metal on the ground as well as some cars that I could loot. Rummaging through the various crates, barrels, and cars in the area is rather unthreatening, as the zombies don't attack you until you get close. They don't have a sophisticated hearing system like Project Zomboid, so it's easy to just run past them. So, in order to prevent players from just running in and grabbing items, the game requires that you kill all nearby zombies before looting a chest. The zombies themselves have a small chance of dropping fabric or ammunition, but for the most part, you'll only ever be killing them because the game requires you to. There is little incentive to go out and hunt for zombies unless you need cloth. I did a few circles around the area near my base, picking up scrap metal as it spawned in, and bludgeoning zombies whenever I needed to open a chest. After filling my inventory, I began the trek back to my humble base. As I walked back, I passed by many other player-constructed bases. Some were built like rather realistic fortresses designed to hold back the horde, while others are designed clearly to take advantage of the game's mechanics. This one, for example, was positioned on the corner of the plot, and it was using the loading zone as 2 of the 4 walls. It's a little bit immersion breaking, but then again, was I really immersed in this game to begin with? Nonetheless, navigating the open world and transitioning from plot to plot was extremely smooth. Load times are a little bit slower than I would have hoped for, but it's still pretty seamless. The game maintains a constant frame rate well over 60, and at no point did I notice any significant performance issues. Apparently, there were some issues for players in the more crowded plots, but those didn't affect me at any point. Returning home after my relaxing stroll through the Georgia countryside, I now have enough materials to upgrade my headquarters. Activating the upgrade process summons a horde of walkers to attack my base. Trusty bat in hand, I bravely bash their skulls to a pulp, defending my base, which consists of a flag placed on top of 2 pieces of flooring. Completing this upgrade has unlocked the next milestone, as well as some additional building features. Chop a few more trees, mine some more rocks, and return with full bags yet again. Time to raise some walls and make this place a little more homely. The base building features of this game are rather simple and intuitive. The pieces automatically snap to a grid and rotate to face the appropriate direction. Really nothing to complain about, it works exactly as it should. After building some walls to enclose my precious HQ flag, I glance at my mission log to see what's next. Craft a gun, ammo, and armor. All of these recipes are going to require scrap metal, and a lot of it, so maybe it's time to venture a little bit closer to the city center where resources are more plentiful. While on this journey, I made sure to take in the scenery and atmosphere of the game. The visuals of the Walking Dead Empires are straightforward and stylish. The cel-shaded and slightly cartoonish look pays homage to the original comic book that began the franchise. The music fits the setting as well, with slow, pulsing beats evoking comparisons to a beating heart. As you weave between large hordes of zombies out in the open world, the intensity of the music increases, leading to a crescendo as you end combat. The music in this game is actually some of the best that I've heard in any of these crypto games so far. There's enough variety in the tracks that I didn't feel like I was listening to the same song on repeat, so good job, guys. But as I continue traveling from plot to plot, I can't help but notice just how identical everything feels. There is very little to differentiate the different plots. While there are a couple of different landmarks, you'll encounter generally the same layout as you move from plot to plot, at least within the same rarity class. There are some buildings here and there, but you can't enter any of them. Everything is just for decoration. Additionally, the land is entirely flat. There is not a single degree of slope or any sort of elevation change to be found, just endless fields of trees, rocks, and abandoned cars. While the general style and aesthetic of the game is fine, it ultimately feels like a mobile game. But this game has no plans so far of being shipped to mobile, so the simple visuals fail to take advantage of the power that modern PCs have to offer. The basic controls and casual slow-paced gathering gameplay loop don't exactly make it feel any less like a mobile game either. It's at this point that I realized I had completely forgotten that this is supposed to be a Walking Dead game. Since all of the licensed characters are prohibitively expensive, any other player that I encountered throughout my journey was just another one of the generic survivor models. And without any sort of story or plot, the game feels exactly like any other generic zombie survival game. The only thing that Empire shares with The Walking Dead is the premium, licensed, non-voice acted character models, and the slow zombies which they call walkers. Oh, and it takes place in the state of Georgia, but any other overlap is merely a coincidence. After a long trek into the depths of an area filled with zombies, I found myself head-on with an exploder zombie. This zombie is no laughing matter, as their attack and health value is much higher than that of any of the others I've faced thus far. Trying my best to kite out its attacks, I end up taking a few hits. As my health nears zero, my character is no longer able to run, and I'm forced to hobble away. Unfortunately, I'm an easy lunch for this zombie, and I experienced my first death in the game. Upon respawning, I'm returned to my base, which was about a 20-minute walk away from where I had died. Also, I lost every item that I gathered that wasn't a piece of equipment. While my items are dropped where I died, and I could technically run back and grab them, I figured it's not worth it, since I can always just find those exact same items in the area near my base. While the more dangerous areas have a higher density of lootable objects, the time that it takes to walk there results in me spending more time to ultimately achieve the same goal. Disappointed in myself, I glanced toward the top of the screen and realized that I have amassed a number of unspent skill points. Exploring the skill tree, I have the opportunity to increase my stats in a variety of areas. Increased health, increased critical strike chance, and increased melee damage are among a few of the choices. Additionally, I can level up my talents, allowing me the ability to wield higher tier equipment. Unsure of what the best choice is, I assign my skills in a semi-random fashion. Now that I've spent my skills, time to get back and play the game. Upgrading my headquarters is the ultimate goal of the game. Each HQ level comes with a requirement to gather an increasing quantity of materials, head out into the woods, gather metal, rocks, and wood, upgrade the HQ, defend against a wave of zombies, and repeat. Along the way, you'll unlock more advanced weaponry, but the cost to craft ammunition is pretty steep. Since there wasn't a way for me to speed up my gathering or movement speed, it seemed almost like a total waste to craft the expensive weapons. Once I had unlocked the katana, that was all I used. While your melee weapons have a durability value and eventually break after too many uses, it's still cheaper to craft a bunch of melee weapons than to craft a ton of ammo for a gun. And since upgrading your base and crafting weapons uses the same materials, you're not going to want to waste any more time gathering than you need to. After almost 2 hours of gathering, left-clicking on zombies, and upgrading my base, I eventually received a mission to find and mine a material called hardstone. While I had found hard wood a few times throughout the 4 hours I played the game, I did not find a single occurrence of hard stone. This seemed to be a common issue, as players in the chat were constantly complaining that they had been searching for hours and had yet to find a single instance of hardstone. Also, the game has a global chat box. However, it was mostly taken over by two guys having a conversation in Russian, only interrupted by the occasional
¿Algún brasileiro?
My active missions at this point are 1. Mine hardstone, which seemed to be impossible to find. 2. Eliminate 1,000 zombies, which there's no way I'm going to do that. And 3. Upgrade my HQ over and over again until it reaches level 10. Every time you upgrade the HQ, the wave of zombies that attack it gets larger. Additionally, the subsequent upgrades require an ever-increasing amount of materials. Gather wood, gather metal, gather stone. Upgrade HQ, kill zombies. Repeat. It never changes. At this point, I was really just hoping that eventually something would change and the game would get more interesting. However, after asking around, I learned that the next step after reaching a level 10 HQ is to pick up the HQ and move it to the next level rarity of plot. Then, you can keep upgrading it until it hits level 15. Then, you pick it up and move it to the next plot. Again, you'll need to gather even more materials to upgrade it each time. Repeat over and over again until you've worked your way up to the ancient plot near the city center, and then I guess you're done. Along the way, I noticed a few of the players' bases contained the ultra-expensive NFT crafting benches. This kind individual placed all of his crafting benches outside, so they were easy to use. This is kind of pointless though, since you can actually just open anyone's doors and go into their base. According to a post on the game's Medium blog, the NFT crafting tables will be able to craft stronger weapons than the non-NFT crafting tables. If you place an NFT crafting table out in the open, anyone who uses it will have to pay you a fee of some sort. The exact specifics are not explained though. In fact, almost nothing about the game's NFTs are really well explained at all. In my opinion, this is dishonest marketing. Not only does Gala heavily employ FOMO and false urgency by making everything have an arbitrarily limited supply and limited time discounts, they're charging tens of thousands of dollars for some of these items. You'd think that they'd have a very specific plan as to what these items do, but no, it's all super vague. There isn't even a white paper for the game. It seems that the primary form of communication is through blog posts, Discord posts, and the occasional AMA sessions on YouTube. If Spider Tanks is at all representative of how this game's earnings will turn out, the extremely overpriced NFT items are going to generate a pitifully small amount of revenue. But beware, you're not allowed to talk about any return on investment or earning on the game's Discord server. They're really leaning into that none of this is an investment angle. But from a gamer's perspective, how much fun is it to know that you'll never be able to play as Rick or own land without giving up a few $100? The limited supply of every NFT means that only a few hundred people will have access to those features at any time. Well, that's assuming that this stuff ever sells out. Currently, a lot of the more expensive NFTs have only ever sold a few copies. As is typical for these NFT games, the presence of a land ownership and virtual real estate speculation market is heavy. While all land available in the game is currently sold out, you can still buy the plots on the secondary market on OpenSea. But like I said, the benefits of being a landowner are pretty vague at this time. It seems that you'll eventually be able to control who can build on your land, as well as collect a portion of the resources that people gather on your land. Because everyone knows that during a total collapse of society, somehow taxes still exist. I highly doubt that there's going to be any sort of feature for you to revolt and overthrow the corrupt landlords, because those guys are the paying customers. You're just a dirty, poor, free-to-play player, and you're nothing but whale food, existing solely to populate an otherwise dead game and to give the whales someone to flex on. And all of this leads me to my biggest question regarding the game. Why does this exist? How big is the market for a casual, Walking Dead-themed NFT MMO where most of the items cost thousands of dollars? And this isn't the first time that The Walking Dead, and by extension AMC, has dabbled in NFTs. There's been a variety of other Walking Dead NFT projects in the past. There's a Walking Dead NFT collection featuring NFTs autographed by the cast, and there's actually another entirely separate NFT game that also was selling land. It's called The Walking Dead Lands. Unfortunately, it seems that there's no gameplay footage or detailed description as to what type of game this is. Just a ton of stuff about how you can buy their NFTs. And this leads us to the hilarious part. None of these NFTs are cross-compatible. Even though they're all the same exact IP, and even on the same blockchain, each one of these NFTs is created by a different company, so the NFTs for the land games have no overlap with the Empires game. So again, who is the market for this type of stuff? I don't think it's the fans of The Walking Dead, as taking a quick glance through the subreddit shows that every single time AMC announces another Walking Dead NFT, the fans quickly dismiss it as a lazy cash grab. There's actually been almost no discussion regarding the Empires or Lands game anywhere on social media, outside of a few posts on play-to-earn specific websites and blogs. Oh, and there's bots on Twitter discussing the game as well, of course. Anyway, the game has next to nothing to do with the TV show. If you removed the licensed characters from the game, it would blend in with every other generic zombie survival game. Take out the association with Gala Games and crypto, and the game wouldn't even stand out amongst browser games that you can find online for free. So who exactly is the target audience for this? Rich people with loose pockets ready to speculate on anything? People who own a gaming PC but only play slow-paced gathering games? People who love The Walking Dead and will spend hundreds on anything related to it? I'm not entirely sure. But after a grueling 4 hours in the playtest for this game, I think I've had enough. I decided that before closing out this chapter of my NFT gaming experience, I must visit the center of the city to see what's in store. After 30 minutes of walking through the plots in between my base and the center, I saw that the landscape changed from a rural sprawl to a more industrialized area. However, just as I was about to approach the city center, I clicked on someone's ultra-rare and expensive NFT crafting bench. This was a grave mistake, as my character glitched out and got stuck on the crafting bench. Unable to move, I closed the game and reopened it to find that I had been teleported all the way back to my base. What a great way to wrap up my experience with The Walking Dead Empires. So, time to address the inevitable comments of you can't criticize the game because it's still early. While some of the game may change throughout the rest of the development period, it's already been almost a year and a half since the first NFT presale was launched. Add that to the fact that they're charging such a ridiculous price for the items, and I think it's totally fair to evaluate the game in its current state. In my opinion, your early access game stops becoming immune to criticism the second you start charging people more than $5 to play it. And in some cases, the developers don't even have to worry about finishing the game before they abandon it. If you add in the completely unregulated market of cryptocurrency with no refunds, and you've got yourself a rather sketchy situation. And besides, the core gameplay loop of a game isn't going to change that much between alpha and launch. The alpha version of a game, especially one that's had over a year in development, should be pretty much representative of what the final product is going to play like. And if it does change, then that could be an issue, as they sold millions of dollars of NFTs assuming that this game is going to keep this premise. The core gameplay loop should be pretty much finished before the game leaves alpha. And today, that loop consists of running around, picking up trinkets, and occasionally encountering zombies. The game checks the absolute bare minimum requirements for being a game, yet the developers are delusional enough to charge $70,000 for a single in-game item. That's right, this isn't the player set price, this is how much Gala is charging. That's more than a brand new Tesla. What's even more surprising is that people actually buy this stuff. I think I've played enough of The Walking Dead Empires to give it a fair John score, so let's hop on over and see how it fares. Point number 1, ease of access. Getting the game installed and running is easy. As with any other Gala game, you'll be required to install the Gala Games launcher and then create a Gala Games account. Once you've done that, you can launch the game by visiting the Gala Games website and clicking play. It's simple enough, but I'm going to continue my tradition of taking 1 point off because the Gala launcher is a strange program that seems to do absolutely nothing but run in the background at all times. 4 out of 5. Point number 2, graphics and audio. The graphics in this game are nothing spectacular, especially when you consider that this is a PC exclusive releasing in either 2023 or 2024, depending on how much they delay the game. In general, the game looks like a mobile game. While they could use the excuse of it's just a beta, the graphics will get better, they seem to have already put a lot of effort into the visuals, so I doubt that they'll change much. If they planned on changing them, then I'd think that they would just be using placeholder assets, not the almost entirely complete set that they have today. That being said, the graphics aren't bad. The artwork is consistent, and the low poly style ensures great performance. While sort of bland, the world is easy to navigate and generally visually appealing. Collectible branches and scrap metal stand out, which is good, since a majority of the game is going to be spent walking around staring at the ground to find collectible items. The zombies have a variety of models, and I didn't see the same model repeated 12 times in a row, which is a good sign. There's just enough variations of the basic walkers that you'll hardly ever notice a reused model, except for on this loading screen where they reused the same zombie model a bunch of times. Why? However, the special zombies like the Exploder and Igniter zombies have their own unique models that have no variations. I think that this is fine, as it makes them stand out. The audio, on the other hand, is a mixed bag. While the music is quite good, the sound effects are lacking. Most of the sound effects are just generic mobile game sounds, with the only thing really noteworthy being the zombies. And the zombies aren't exactly fantastic, they're just run-of-the-mill. Your attacks don't feel like they have a whole lot of strength or impact. Add this to the combat, which consists of standing still, whacking a zombie with a baseball bat, or shooting them with a pistol, and yeah, it's a phone game. There's also no voice acting anywhere to be seen. Not like there's a story or anything though, it's just you and your friends wandering a desolate wasteland picking up sticks. I gave the game's graphics a 2 out of 2.5 and the audio a 1.75 out of 2.5 for a total score of 3.75 out of 5 in the graphics and audio section. Point number 3, the gameplay. The Walking Dead Empires is a casual zombie survival MMO. While the game has a bit of a hardcore mechanic where you drop every collected item when you die, just about everything else is super casual. Stroll along the river, picking flowers and chopping trees, building your dream home, and every once in a while smacking a few zombies upside the head. The controls are simple, and most of the game can be played by only using the mouse. I'm definitely not the target audience for this game, but I did enjoy the first hour or two that I spent playing it. Wandering around, exploring the world, and gathering items to progress was a fun loop. But that's kind of the entire premise of the game, so it gets old pretty quickly. Do that over and over again until you max your base, and then delete the base and do it again, except with a longer grind. There is an ability to engage in player versus player combat and form a guild, but that's not going to change the gameplay. I was unable to find any other players in the PvP zone, but I can't imagine that the PvP is very fun with how simple the combat system is. Same for the guild system. It adds a fun social aspect to your gathering, but it's not going to change the core gameplay. It just speeds up progress. And as far as the crafting goes, there really isn't a whole lot of variety. As far as I saw, there were only 5 types of core materials that you needed to build your base. Everything else is just used to craft clothes, consumables, or new guns. You'll see pretty much every type of collectible within the first hour of playing. So not only does the game look like a mobile game, it plays like a mobile game. Which is unsurprising, considering that the developers have pretty much only worked on mobile titles for the past decade. Add in the ridiculous price of the NFTs, and you get a boring, zombie-themed gathering game with base building and social elements that's drowning in delusional monetization. It's below average at best and entirely forgettable at worst. 2.25 out of 5. Point number 4, the use of blockchain, NFT, and crypto technology. Just like with any other Gala game, The Walking Dead Empires doesn't use the blockchain in any novel or interesting way. All of the NFTs are only usable within this game, and the game has no plan so far to support other Walking Dead NFTs. So, in reality, the NFTs are just functionally worse microtransactions that cost 100 times what a similar game would charge. And as always, the serious lack of consumer protection with cryptocurrency causes your $50,000 purchase to exist in your possession only as long as you can avoid getting your wallet compromised. Should that happen, you'll lose everything, and there will be no course of action to recover your stolen assets. Code is law, and that law says that you lost. Sorry. The choice to use blockchain technology makes absolutely no sense from a technical, logical, or game development perspective. A blockchain is a decentralized ledger, but a game isn't decentralized. The developers have total control over the game, and at any point they can just decide to change the way the in-game items function, regardless of them being attached to NFTs. But as usual, you probably already knew that. Games like Counter-Strike have had in-game items for decades, fully tradable with no blockchain. They've even allowed cross-game use, as all items purchased in CSGO are fully usable in the upcoming sequel, Counter-Strike 2. So why blockchain? Because it's all the excuse we need to charge $50,000 for a crafting table. 0 out of 5. Point number 5. Will this project succeed? I'm not really sure who the target audience is for this game. Walking Dead fans are already upset that AMC continues to shamelessly milk the franchise at every opportunity. Plus, they've been given a taste of Walking Dead NFTs in the past, and the reaction was lukewarm to say the least. The game has pretty much never been mentioned on the official subreddit, and the most viewed video on YouTube regarding the game has less than 20,000 views. The official collection on OpenSea shows that there are 2,706 unique owners of the game's 253,000 NFTs, putting the unique ownership percentage at 1%. I guess you could argue that the game is still early, but they announced the game on the show's official Twitter and started selling NFTs. If it was so early, then they probably shouldn't be doing those things. Anyway, so far, nobody outside of existing Gala coin investors really care about this game. Despite it being overwhelmingly boring and overpriced, Gala Games somehow manages to attract a loyal fan base of investors. Keyword being investors, not players. Both of the other Gala games that I've played on this series were almost entirely dead as far as player count goes. The bottom of the barrel has been scraped clean, and the competition for crypto games is a complete joke. Just having a playable game with something to do besides endlessly spend money makes your game a serious contender for the Best Crypto Game of the Year award. So I'm sure that a small number of loyal Gala fans will play this game, but it will never go mainstream. Nobody is going to care about this game when there are a dozen other identical games without NFTs that you can actually play on your phone. The fact that this game has almost nothing to do with The Walking Dead outside of the licensed characters certainly doesn't help. but I'll still give it a 2 out of 5 since the Cult of Gala will play it, even though it's pretty bad. I gave The Walking Dead Empires a total score of 4.8 out of 10. Boring and mediocre. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and if you're interested in seeing me play another bad crypto game, why not check out this video here? What did you guys think of this game? Have you played it? Is this type of game interesting to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, I'll see you next time as I continue my search for the worst crypto game ever. Goodbye.